Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden did a speech in Vietnam. And y'all know he was at the G20 and he made a stop over at Hanoi, Vietnam. And he got in front of a big crowd and started babbling and said he wanted to go to bed. And, and people are completely outraged at this news conference. It was so bad. One of his aides had to step in to end the press conference. I mean, and of course, it set off a firestorm because, it's his age in question. A lot of people just feel that he absolutely should not be running again at all. So he was flying home from Air Force One and, stopped over in Vietnam to give this speech. And wow, I don't know why they just didn't bring Joe Biden back to the United States because people are going to be talking about this for quite some time. I'm going to go ahead and play the video and I'll be right back with the rest of my commentary.
The man I've been saying for a year or more simply can't run for a second term. He stopped off in Vietnam on the way home from the G20 and he held a major press conference in Hanoi. It didn't go well, not even by Joe Biden's standards. Just try to get your head around this anecdote.
My brother loves having, there's famous lines from movies that he always quotes, and one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout, and they're trying to get I think it was the Apache, one of the great tribes of America, back on the reservation. And he's standing with the Unions, so they're all on their horses and their saddles, and there's 3 or 4 Indians in headdresses, and the Union soldiers. The Union soldiers basically saying, the Indians, come with me, we'll take care of you, everything will be good. And the Indian looks at John Wayne and points to the Union soldier and says, he's a lion, dog-faced pony soldier. Well, there's a lot of lion, dog-faced pony soldiers out there about global warming, but not anymore. All of a sudden, they're all realizing it's a problem. And there's nothing like seeing the light.
Really? Really? That's just terrible, isn't it? But have a look at his next bit. He seems to say the quiet bit out loud. The president actually tells us what he'd rather be doing.
If you don't have a game plan, he may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Okay, so that's pretty amusing, isn't it? Old Joe always wants to get off to bed. But think about the more serious side of this. What this is doing to America's diplomacy, for instance. Listen to this next answer. The president was asked about his talks with the Chinese premier earlier that day. And in his answer, Joe Biden seems to check himself for using the term third world. Then he can't think of a more appropriate term. Then he tries the phrase Southern Hemisphere. Remember, he's reflecting on talks in India with China and he's speaking in Vietnam. And he's on about the Southern Hemisphere. But then listen to his own press secretary calling an end to the media conference.
We talked about stability. We talked about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all. He came up and said,
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so you heard that word salad with dressing on the side from Joe Biden. That was pretty horrific. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pattern that infuriates the White House. Yeah, because they got to get up the next day and explain this stuff that he's doing, these falls that he's taking, and, what people call gaffes. I don't call gaffes. That man is just out of his mind. So, of course, the other side sees the opportunity to not only mock him, but they got back on what Donald Trump used to call him, Sleepy Joe. And they saw his rambling in front of the Vietnam press, and they said it was a pretty nice sized crowd that was there in front of him. And mm, so at the end, you hear one of his aides scream out that, pretty much ending the conference, and he just went along with it. And actually, after that, they played some loud jazz music as he left the stage. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. I guess maybe just flying long distances, and then on top of that, the time change, it's just hard on somebody his age, you know? And maybe when these events are over, instead of stopping over somewhere, maybe just fly him back to the United States. Because, in my opinion, it would have been much better if he didn't say anything at all. So, as you heard, he was rambling about John Wayne and an Indian scout, and then he went into the Indians being Apache and one of the great tribes of America. And I don't know anybody in the audience that would want to sit around and hear what Joe Biden was standing there and saying. I mean, I was not, it's hard to be entertained by something that is not really that interesting, but wow. So he tried to connect a John Wayne movie to global warming. That's what he attempted to do. And of course, he was struggling along. Um, mm, mm, mm. So we know this is far from the first time that the president has done these sort of things or kind of act erratic on the stage. It has certainly happened before. And of course, once something like this hits social media, they're gonna they're gonna milk this one dry, especially those on the right. They're gonna milk it dry and use it as a stigma to why he may not be up to a second term in office. But despite all of that, we all know Joe Biden's going to run again. Even this experience and many of the falls that we have seen. And when you look at the clip, even when he was coming off the plane, you could see he was being extra careful coming down those steps. If you go back and look, he was really trying to be careful. So, y'all, please tell me what you think. What do you think about what he stood in front of the people of Vietnam and said in this press conference? Do you have any more confidence in Joe Biden or less confidence in Joe Biden? Because me, I never had any confidence in Joe Biden, speech or no speech. But y'all tell me what you think in the comment section. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.